Hello and welcome to Rathods IS. Today in this session, we are going to see current affairs of 14th December 2023. So first of all, we are going to see PDF of The Hindu. Okay, that I am taking about this Delhi edition. And we are going to pick out the articles from our newspaper which are relevant from our examination point of view. And we are going to see in how many dimensions we can think about that topic. So that dimensions will helpful to connect one subject with another subject. So that interlinking of subject is very important to develop thought process. So I can assure you that if you are watching this Rathods as Academy's current affairs daily without missing, then you can excel in interconnecting of subjects for sure. So that is the thing we are going to teach you here in this current affairs classes. So one thing I want to say is current affairs is very important, and about 60 to 75% of your paper will be current affairs. For example, you can take GS2, GS3, and even in GS4 you will be having case studies and one essay. Okay, and even many questions, around 30 to 40 questions in your prelims, that will come from current affairs. So current affairs will form a major chunk, and especially if you are a beginner, so you will be facing problem in reading newspaper, that I know. Yes, so because of this I want to simplify this news analysis, and I want to make you, each and everyone who is watching this class, to understand what is going on and how to read this newspaper and how to simplify this current affairs. So this is the main motto. And if you are watching, so please do watch regularly and consistently. So your consistency is key in this UPSC preparation, and I will see like who are consistent. Okay, so every day, so while you are watching this current affairs analysis, so please type your name and state from where you are coming from. Okay, so that I can remember you and I can see like whether you are consistent or not. So let us see the front page of Hindu today. So first article is COP28 calls for transition away from fossil fuels. Yes, COP28 had been concluded recently on December 12th. Yes or no? So it started on November 30 and it concluded on December 12th. So here you have to know what is this Conference of Parties 28. So annually, every year we have this Conference of Parties, and this year we had this Conference of Parties 28. So this Conference of Parties is very important now because we came up with a lot of pledges. And even if you see in this COP26, so many countries, they came up with one important thing, that is carbon neutrality. So even India said that we are going to reach this carbon neutrality by 2070. So in the same way, different countries have their own targets. For example, China said we are going to achieve this carbon neutrality by 2060, and other European countries said that they are going to have this carbon neutrality by 2050. So in the same way, here you have to see what are the important things which talked in this COP28. So there are 6 major things which mainly talked or discussed in this COP28, and there is a high chance of getting question from that COP28. So we are going to see that. So one important thing which discussed in this COP28 is to phase out this fossil fuels. So why fossil fuels? So you have to know like how these fossil fuels are formed. For example, we have coal, natural gas and crude oil. So these are the 3 important fossil fuels, and these are used for our energy. Yes or no? So we are getting electricity by burning of coal, that is called as thermal electricity, and even we are using this fossil fuel like coal, petrol, etc. Like diesel, petrol, etc. for transportation purpose. But we are moving towards transition. So that is not the thing I am talking here. So we are moving to electric vehicles now. And here we are using ethanol, and especially ethanol blending with alcohol and other fuels like green hydrogen, etc. But mostly we are very much reliant on this fossil fuels. And if you see case of India, so we are not having much crude oil reserves. So for example, we are having Digboy in Assam and Godavari and Krishna basin. So there are very less reserves of crude oil. So because of this, India is entirely dependent on the other country for crude oil imports, especially Western countries. Okay, that too Arabian countries. And next one is on Russia. Also we are getting oil at a discounted price. So in this context, you have to see like OPEC countries and OPEC plus countries. OPEC countries and OPEC plus countries. Okay, and here especially you have to see like why we need to go away from these fossil fuels. So whenever we are use these fossil fuels like coal, crude oil and natural gas, they are releasing carbon emissions, carbon dioxide emissions. And this carbon dioxide emissions, it is one of the important cause for increasing of global warming. Okay, so global warming is causing climate change. So to arrest this global warming, so in COP15 we came up with one agreement, that is Paris Climate Deal. So under this Paris Climate Deal, so countries they accepted that we are going to decrease this global warming by 1.5 degrees to 2 degrees centigrade when we are comparing with that of pre-industrial levels. But this target has not been achieved. So why this target has not been achieved? So here if you see industrial revolution, where it was started first, it was started in European countries. So at that time here, what are the emissions they can release? Already those European countries had been released into atmosphere. But now especially third world countries and less developed countries or developing countries, they are moving towards industrial revolution, and now these countries they are releasing atmospheric emissions or carbon dioxide emissions into atmosphere. So now we are already facing this evidence of climate change events, not only India but big all over the world. So here we are talking that yes, we have to address this climate change. So now these developed countries, they are saying that developing countries and less developed countries, they should not release at carbon dioxide emissions. So how far it is correct? So already they went for industrial revolution and they went for the increasing of their growth, economy of their countries, and now this developing countries and less developed countries, they are moving toward industrialization to address the problems like malnutrition, poverty, hunger in their country. Yes, they are saying that you should not go for industrialization. So for this, we came up with this concept. So what is that concept? That concept is called as loss and damage fund. And we came up with this climate fund. And these developed countries, they have to help developing countries and also least developed countries. So how these developed countries can help? In two ways. So first one is they can provide finance. And second one is they can provide technology. So in these two ways they can help. Okay, and each and every country they came up with these INDCs. Like what are the steps can be taken by countries to control climate change. So all this is the background of that article. And I hope you have understood at least 40%. So if you have understood at least 40% of the thing that I said, so please type 1 in the comment box. Okay, so let us make this session more interactive. And if you see here, this infographic which says some important points, we have to see that. Global Stocktake was first COP where countries were expected to account for actions undertaken to fulfill obligations under Paris Climate Deal. So under this Paris Climate Deal, what is the promise? Promise here is we are going to decrease global temperature by 1.5 degrees centigrade to 2 degrees centigrade. And next one is 2000 levels when it should have been 43%. And actually this global stocktake found that the steps taken by the parties, they are inadequate. So what are the steps taken by the parties? They are inadequate. So we have to take much more steps to control this climate change. And greenhouse emissions, they have to be reduced sharply. And this will require tackling the main culprit, that is fossil fuels. And next one here is countries, they must implement systems to adapt to present and future effects of climate change by 2030. So by 2030, almost all the countries need to take effective steps to control this climate change. So this is the thing which mainly said. And next topic is India votes in favor of immediate ceasefire in Gaza by Israel. So India, yes, voted in United Nations General Assembly, that too in the favor of resolution. So there are other countries which had been abstained and some other countries which had not voted and some other countries which have been voted against. But India voted in favor of United Nations General Assembly resolution. And this resolution says that Israel should immediately stop or call on this ceasefire. So we have to come up with ceasefire and we have to protect civilians in accordance with the international law, and even the hostages, they have to be released. Okay, so this is about this topic, and this is important from your GS paper 2 under international relations. So this year you can expect a question of countries which are sharing boundary with Israel or countries which are sharing boundary with Mediterranean Sea for sure. So you can see the paper. So the paper will have map based question from Israel and Gaza. And next topic is smoke canister strike by two visitors, sets of chaos in Lok Sabha. So actually what happened? So there's security breach in Lok Sabha. So actually some other people who entered into parliament by taking the pass. So MPs, they can provide the pass. So by using that pass, so normally people will be entering into this parliament. And finally they released two canisters, and that two canisters released yellow color smoke that you can see on the image. So here you have to see the security breach. Okay, so what the handbook is saying about this security breach and as well as that MP passes. So this is very important from your GS paper 2 under polity. It is very important from polity. And actually yesterday, which is the anniversary of parliamentary attacks. Okay, so this is also very important. So this is the front page, and you can move on to city page, but there is nothing much important in our city page today. And you can directly move on to the states page. In states page also most of the articles are political articles. And you can directly move on to this editorial page. So in editorial page you have one article which is important. So this article, it is about Israel-Gaza issue, and number of times we discussed about this Israel-Gaza. So what is the conflict, what is happening, so what can be done, and what is this two-state solutions. So everything we discussed. And next topic which is important is Article 370 judgment is a case of constitutional monoism. So this article is very important, and we have to see like what is Article 370 and what is the judgment which is given by Supreme Court. That is very, very important. Okay, so we have to see that, and especially this article is important from your GS paper 2 under polity. So you have to understand what is this 370 article. So whether it is a temporary provision or permanent provision. So who has the power? So whether there is a need of taking a permission from the states also or not. So all these things are some questions that we are going to address, and this topic is at most important. And next here you can see article that is regarding end the uncertainty, center's approach to resolve issues of Sri Lankan repartees is must. So actually this article is talking about Indian origin Tamils. So actually India was under the British rule. At that time Britishers, they used to have lot of colonies. So in that colonies, whenever they are going for the plantation growth, so to work in the plantation, so they used to take the labor. So this Indian origin Tamils, they were the labor taken up by Britishers to work in sugarcane plantations in Sri Lanka. Okay, now they are facing lot of issues. So you have to see what are the issues you are facing by them. Okay, so this is about this topic, and this topic we can connect with history point of view, and even we can connect with international relations, because here we are talking about relations between India and Sri Lanka. So this is at most important topic. And if you move on to this op-ed page, these two articles are not at all important, leave them simply. And here you can see one data which says that Indians are vulnerable to climate change induced health issues. So because of this climate change, it is having impact on health of people. For example, now you can see increasing of pollution in this Delhi region, which is increasing the risk of respiratory distress and respiratory diseases in children and as well as elderly people. So in the same way, whenever we are having this climate change, yes, that is also going to have impact on the health as well. So here we are going to see this topic in a very great detail. And in the text and context, there is one article regarding row over hate speech in US universities. So here we are not going to bother what is happening in US, but here we have to bother about this keyword. So what is this hate speech? So what are the disadvantages of this hate speech? So how can you define this hate speech? So what will be the impact of the hate speech in the society? So this is very important. Okay. And next one, it is about elections in Bangladesh. So we are not going to focus much. And actually one important dimensions you can see here is, so if the present government in Bangladesh is Sheikh Hasina's government, and this Sheikh Hasina government is pro-India. So if the next time if Sheikh Hasina is not coming into power, means yes, what are the government that is forming in Bangladesh, that will be having the negative relations with India. Okay, so that is the thing we have to see. So there are two political parties are there. Okay, one is Sheikh Hasina's and another one is BNP. Okay, so we have to see like which party will come into power. And you can move on to this news page. So most of the articles are regarding security breach in Lok Sabha. Yes, here you can see one data. Road fatalities, that is accidents, are rising in India despite global drop, says WHO. So this article says that globally, that means entire the world, yes, there is decreasing of road accidents. So why decreasing of road accidents? So we are having the good technology. For example, if you are using a four-wheeler like a car, so now in car we are having safety measures like seat belts, airbags, etc. So mostly day by day, because of advancement in science and technology, so we are enhancing the safety conditions in the vehicles. For example, if you see Volvo cars, so they are the most safest compared to that of other cars. So in the same way here, when you are talking about road accidents, so even the road accidents are happening, so we are especially we are very much safe, right, because of seat belts, because of airbags, if you are moving in the four-wheelers. But what is the condition of these two-wheelers? So even though if you are wearing helmet also, so this accident impact will be there a lot. And if you are a pedestrian, so there is no guarantee for your life if there is any accident. So here this article says that especially road traffic deaths had been fell down, that is decreased by 5% worldwide between 2010 and 2021. But in case of India, there is increased road fatalities by 15%. And not only the development of science and technology, especially governments are focusing on the safety of roads. And we are coming up with how to decrease the traffic like flyovers, etc. Okay, so this data is very important and we are going to see that. And next article is New Delhi Declaration on Artificial Intelligence adopted. So here you have to focus on what is this New Delhi Declaration on artificial intelligence. So actually, representatives from 28 countries and European Union, they adopted New Delhi Declaration of Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence, that is GPI. Okay, so it is also pronounced as GPI. So India is hosting the summit and GPI grouping in 2024. So this declaration affirms that countries' commitment to principles for responsible stewardship of trustworthy, and they are also focusing on democracy and as well as human values and human rights. And we want to promote trustworthiness, responsible, sustainable and human-centric artificial intelligence. So what is this GPI? So GPI is a group of countries in North and South America, Europe and East Asia. So it is very, very important. And actually they came up with a trustworthy development and deployment and use of artificial intelligence. Okay, so this is about this GPI. That's it. You have to see what is this GPI and which are the countries part of it. So what is the aim? And this business page, you can see one article that is Center reviews plan to simplify GST rates. So what is the GST? That is goods and service tax. So in which year we came up with this GST? In 2017. So that time we came up with this GST Act, okay, and we subsumed some taxes. And actually this GST, it is indirect tax. So this GST is indirect tax. Okay, so this GST is indirect tax. So here in taxes we have two types. So first one is direct tax and second one is indirect tax. So first one is direct tax and second one is indirect tax. So direct tax means because whenever your income is increasing, so the amount of the tax to be paid to government will be also increasing. So in this way here, this direct tax is progressive tax. So indirect tax means even though if your income is increasing or decreasing, so you have to pay the tax, that is called as regressive tax. So this indirect tax is a regressive tax. So here which tax is more dangerous? So this indirect tax is more dangerous because it is affecting the poor more. So rich people, they can pay the tax, no issue. But what of the poor? So even though they are poor, so they have to pay this GST to the government. So if you're talking about the agenda of rationalizing these GST rates and re-enter policy makers, okay, so actually they want to come up with re-entering the policy makers radar. And we have to rationalize this GST rates. The center includes Karnataka's revenue minister in reconstituted ministerial group, and officials in 2023 indicated GST rate simplification and long awaited by the industry was stable for a while. And tax experts, industry leaders, they argue that too many rates lead to tremendous compliance. So we have to come up with simplification of the slabs. Okay, so this is about this topic. And these are some important articles that appeared in our today's Hindu newspaper, and we are going to see the notes of this class. So if you want to get the notes, then you can join the Telegram channel. Link is given in description box. So this is the notes. Okay, so let us see the first topic. So first topic, it is about COP28. And what are the highlights of this COP28? So this article is important from your environment and ecology. So you can expect both prelims and mains question from this topic. So what is the context? Nations, they took a small but decisive step. They took a small but decisive step towards ridding the world of fossil fuels. So we have to phase out this fossil fuels after negotiators in Dubai adopted a resolution called as Dubai Consensus. So here you can get an interesting question like, so recently Dubai Consensus is seen in news. What it is regarding? It is regarding phasing out of fossil fuels. Okay, Dubai Consensus is related to phasing out of fossil fuels. So if you see some more details, it says that the standout class in 21-page text is the one of the calls on parties. So transitioning away from fossil fuels in energy system in a just, orderly and equitable manner. So here in this COP28, they said that we have to go for phasing out of fossil fuels. Okay, rather than using of fossil fuels, we can use renewable energy sources. So this is the thing which mainly said, and they also said that we have to focus on equitable manner and just manner, and we have to accelerate action in this critical decade, and we have to achieve net zero by 2050. Okay, so these things which are mainly said in this COP28. So here it also said that creating a path to net zero. So net zero means nothing but amount of carbon dioxide released into atmosphere is equal to amount of carbon dioxide absorbed. Okay, so this equation is called as net zero, and creating a path to net zero greenhouse emissions by 2050, it is a target to keep global temperatures from rising beyond 1.5 degrees centigrade by the end of century. It is according to scientific assessments by IPCC. So IPCC says that we have to decrease this carbon dioxide emission levels, and we have to attain this net zero by 2050. So even it said that we have to cut emissions to 43% of 2019 levels by 2030. So by 2030 we have to cut these emissions to 43%, and we have to cut to 60% by 2035. Okay, so this is the thing which mainly said. So if you are talking about 6 important issues which are discussed. So first one is about the global stock take. So it is a periodic review by countries to contain this greenhouse emission, that is GHG emissions, and we have to go for transition. Okay, we have to go for transition. That means we have to use renewable energy resources rather than this fossil fuels. And this one is we have to focus on United Nations Food System Coordination Hub. So the vision, it is to stimulate, and we have to support action for sustainable development goals based food system, and we have to go for transformation towards acceleration of 2030 agenda. Okay, and this mission, it is to serve countries through systematic country driven and customized support in translating their commitments into effective actions to reach sustainable food systems by 2030. So actually we are focusing on coming up with this coordination hub. So in this coordination hub, so different countries, they will provide their support in translating the commitments, and they will be also providing some important ideas to reach this sustainable food system by 2030, and they will be also focusing on United Nations systems capacities as well. And they also said that we are going to have this loss and damage fund, that is L&D fund. So this L&D fund, it is one of the key outcomes of 2022 edition of this COP27, which held in this Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. So even it committed rich developed countries, they held historically responsible for this climate crisis, because they started industrial revolution way back, and they released almost most of the emissions into atmosphere. So here, because of these emissions that already released by these countries, now people are vulnerable. So because of this, they have to provide funds. And this one is, there is also an agreement to host this loss and damage fund at the World Bank. But here till now there is no details regarding who are the contributors for this fund. And next important thing which mainly discussed here is about climate finance. In 2009, so Conference of Parties developed this climate finance. So what is the meaning of this climate finance? It is nothing but it is a meaningful mitigation actions and transparency regarding implementation of goal of mobilizing US dollars 100 billion, okay, by 2020, and they want to address the problem of these developing countries, but has not been achieved. And this climate finance goal was then formally recognized by United Nations FCC conference, okay, that too in COP 16, and at COP 21 in Paris they extended this US dollars 100 billion goal through 2025. So earlier the target year was like 2020 and it had been extended to 2025. And next important thing here is they also talked about this phase out of fossil fuels. So here European Union is expected to push for phase out, and if accepted, it will be many countries they are continuing the use of oil, gas, and as well as coal together, and even they are not focusing on how to reduce this carbon dioxide emissions. And next important thing is increasing the renewable energy capacity. So here developed countries can help these developing countries to shift from these fossil fuels towards renewable energy sources. So countries they are supposed to triple renewable energy capacity from existing 500 gigawatts installed globally to 1500 gigawatts by 2030. Then only we can achieve this climate change related things. So this is about this topic. And next topic is India votes in favor of immediate ceasefire in Gaza by Israel. So this article is also very important because we are talking about United Nations General Assembly. It is one of the principal organ of United Nations. So this topic is important from your international relations. So if you see context, it says that India voted in favor of United Nations General Assembly resolutions, and here it is also called for immediate ceasefire, and they also said that we have to go for protection of civilians and we have to release all hostages. So these are the important things which are present in this resolution of United Nations General Assembly. So if you see the details, it says that India was among 153 countries that made up massive 4/5 majority of assembly. So India is among 153 countries and it will be making up about massive of 4/5 majority in the assembly, and these countries they voted in the favor of resolution. But there are only 10 countries like US, Israel voted against the resolution, and about 23 countries abstained. That means they didn't voted against or favor. And despite being unsatisfied with the resolution, Israel said it appreciated India's support and votes in the favor of 2 proposed amendments. So even though Israel which is not accepted India's decision, but it appreciated India's support. And 153 countries they have voted for ceasefire, but US has opposed it. Okay, so there are 153 countries they voted for the ceasefire, but US has opposed it. By doing so, US has once again proved that they are the partner of Israel. So whenever any country which is a friend of another country, how they will vote against that country, right? So here because of this, US and Israel they both voted against the resolution. And if you're talking about some facts regarding this United Nations General Assembly, so when it was established in 1945. Okay, 1945 it has been established, that too under a charter that is called as United Nations Charter, and headquarters is located in New York City. And it is one of the 6 principal organs of United Nations. Okay, so this United Nations General Assembly, it is one of the 6 principal organs of United Nations, and it is serving as a main policy making organ. Okay, it already serves as one of the main policy making organ of the organization, and it provides a unique forum for multilateral discussions of full spectrum of international issues. Okay, so it also provides a unique forum for multilateral discussions, the full spectrum of international issues which had been covered under this United Nations. And each of 193 member states of United Nations, they have equal vote. So this is very, very important. And next topic is smoke canisters strike by two visitors set of kiosks in Lok Sabha. So this article is very important because it says that there is security breach in our parliament. So now let us see the context. It says that in a major security breach which happened on 22nd anniversary of attack on parliament. So actually two members, they jumped into Lok Sabha chamber from visitors gallery and they carrying canisters and they are emitting the yellow smoke. So actually we cannot consider this incident as a terror attack. Okay, according to handbook for Lok Sabha members uploaded on the lower house website, in the application from the submitted by MPs for visitors, they need to provide the details such as visitor's name in full, age, father or husband names, nationality and passport. So all these details should be given by the MPs for the visitors. And next one here is according to handbook, the members, they have to provide a certificate on the application form for the visitor card, stating that here the above named visitor is my relation or personal friend or known to be personally, and I take full responsibility for him or her whenever they are doing any action. So actually here the question is whether it will come under this disqualification of MP or not, because it is an unlawful act. Okay, so visitors card for the public gallery are issued for the guest of Lok Sabha members on the day before the visit on applications from the members on yellow forms available in the centralized pass issue cell. So actually December 13th is anniversary of 2011 parliamentary attack, and in this attack about five armored attackers they attacked, and about some people like Delhi police personals and two Parliament security service personals and a gardener, they were killed in this attack. So India has blamed two Pakistani based militant groups for this 2001 attack, that is Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Actually LET denied involvement in this parliamentary attack. And next topic here is about Article 370 and what Supreme Court said, okay, regarding the judgment of Article 370. So actually what was happened? So Article 370 and Article 35A, okay, I will write. So Article 370 and Article 35A, so which talks about special category status. So Article 350 and Article 370 and Article 35A, which talks about special category status to Jammu and Kashmir. So what happened in 2019? Government revoked these two articles, and later on government came up with Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act. And this erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir state had been divided into two UTs. One is Jammu and Kashmir UT and next one is Ladakh. And now this Jammu and Kashmir is having legislative assembly, but this Ladakh is not having this legislative assembly. So after that, number of petitions filed in Supreme Court whether this move is constitutional or not. Okay, whether this move is constitutional or not. And now recently Supreme Court gave judgment regarding this Article 370 abrogation. Okay, so here on 11th December 2023, Honorable Supreme Court delivered a historic judgment on abrogation of Article 370 and Article 35A. That is removal of this Article 370 and Article 35A. So through this judgment, court has upheld sovereignty and integrity of India. So it said that here Jammu and Kashmir is like another state. Okay, it is not having that special thing. So because of this, we have to uphold sovereignty and integrity of India. Okay, so that is very important thing. So that here the decision is taken by the government on 5th 6th August 2019 to abrogate this Article 370 which ended the special category status of this Jammu and Kashmir, was done to enhance constitutional integration. It is not a disintegration of the constitution. So Supreme Court said that, so whatever the decision which is taken by the government, like removal of this Article 370 and Article 35A, so it is a good thing which is done by the central government, because it will be enhancing constitutional integration. It is not leading to any disintegration. So this is a judgment of Supreme Court. And now let us see some facts regarding this Article 370. So Article 370, which provides special status. It is providing special status to Jammu and Kashmir, and this region is disputed by India, Pakistan and China. And even it was drafted by N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, so who was a member of Constituent Assembly. He said that this is a temporary provision. So he said that this Article 370 is a temporary provision in 1949, and this provision which allowed the state to have its own constitution and to have its own flag and autonomy over the most of the matters except defense, foreign affairs and communications. Okay, defense, foreign affairs and communications. And actually it was based on the terms of Instrument of Accession, which was signed between Government of India and as well as ruler of Jammu and Kashmir, that is Maharaja Hari Singh. So if you want to understand this Article 370, it guarantees special status to Jammu and Kashmir. First one is special status to Jammu and Kashmir, and will allows Assembly to make its own constitution and to come up with a separate set of laws for state residents, for example in citizenship, and also provides ownership of property and fundamental rights. And this one is citizens from other states, they cannot purchase lands or property in the state, and center cannot declare financial emergency under Article 360 in this state. So these are some important things which are said or guaranteed under this Article 370 of Indian Constitution to this Jammu and Kashmir. So what is the Supreme Court judgment now? So first one is Article 370, it was a temporary provision. So Article 370 is a temporary provision. So court held that Article 370, it was a temporary provision, and that the state of Jammu and Kashmir had no internal sovereignty. Okay, so here Jammu and Kashmir is not having internal sovereignty, and court said that Article 370 was meant to be a temporary provision. It is not a permanent provision because of two important reasons. So first one is, it served a transitional purpose. It served a transitional purpose to make an interim arrangement to establish Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir. And this Constituent Assembly will be constituting the state's constitution. So because of this, it is a temporary provision. And this one is, it meant to ease the integration of Jammu and Kashmir into Indian Union. Okay, because of war-like conditions that were prevailing during this 1947. And governor can assume all or any roles of state legislature. So court upheld that proclamations by referring the landmark 1994 ruling, that is in S.R. Bommai versus Union of India. So in this case here, the powers and limitations of governor under president's rule. So this has been also upheld by this court. And next one here is CJI said the governor can assume all or any roles of the state legislature. Okay, so he can have some extraordinary powers. And this one here is concurrence of state government, isn't it required? So here the court said that president can exercise the power of abrogation of Article 370. So there is no need of permission from the state legislatures. And this one is upheld the 2019 law. So court upheld Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act of 2019 to extent it carved out of Union Territory of Ladakh out of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So here, yes, it had been upheld 2019 law of coming up of Union Territories. And the court also observed that the views of state legislature regarding the proposed reorganization, they are just recommendatory in nature. So they are just recommendatory in nature and they are not binding on the parliament. So court also observed that the views of state legislature regarding the proposed reorganization, so these are just recommendatory in nature but they are not binding on the parliament. And next one is to conduct elections and to restore statehood. So court stated that Jammu and Kashmir statehood should be restored as soon as possible. So here Jammu and Kashmir statehood has to be restored as soon as possible, and it ordered that elections to the Legislative Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir should be held by September 2024. So this is the deadline to conduct elections. So I want to give you one mains question, so you can write answer for this question, that is, analyze Supreme Court recent judgment on abrogation of Article 370 and evaluate its impact on its decision on violence, economic growth, infrastructure, development and tourism in this region. So how it is going to impact all these sectors. So please let me know your answer and please write answer for this question, post in the comment box. And next topic, it is about Indians vulnerable to climate change induced health issues. So this article is important from your GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. So if you see the context, it says that more than half of India's population, they are living in 344 districts, and these people, they are facing very high health vulnerability which is caused by this climate change. So people, they are increasingly being exposed to different effects of climate change. For example, now we are seeing like prolonged summers and pollution, heavy unpredictable rainfalls. Some areas are facing floods and some areas are facing droughts, and because of melting of glaciers, there is rising of sea level. So we are having a very large coastline of more than 7,500 kilometers. So because of this, yes, there is a threat of melting of glaciers or increasing of sea level. And even they fall ill more often. So people are getting illness more often, and they are even facing a greater risk of future alignments and loss of livelihood, get pushed into poverty, and they are also forced to migrate. That comes under forced migration. So people who are exposed to high green cover, they have better living conditions, and people who are having higher education and secured work and better social safety needs, and whenever they are having this resilient health system, they are able to adapt to the changes and they can mitigate the consequences better. But what is the conditions of the other people? So people who are living in the margins, so whose livelihoods are not much secure, and people who are not able to pay much, okay, and people who are not having the social security network. So all these people, they are most vulnerable to this climate change. So though there are certain universal aspects of climate change, the nature of exposure is diverse and localized. When a state and different regions of districts, they have different levels of exposure. So some areas you are having the high exposure and some areas you are having the less exposure. And the study also helps us to identify the underlying the cause of vulnerability. So here the study which is also identifying the underlying causes of vulnerability, that is essential in formulating appropriate multi-sectoral policy responses. So here government need to take some policies, government need to come up with some good responses to address the issues of these vulnerable people. For example, government can increase public expenditure on health, so that what happened, there will be reducing of out-of-pocket expenditure, so that these vulnerable people, they will be saved to enter into debt cycle. And next one here is, we are having a very poor developed primary healthcare centers. So here we have to improve them. So whenever there is no proper primary healthcare centers, that will lead to increasing of infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate, and that areas will be performing very poor in this child health indicators. So we need robust healthcare system, okay, and we have to address some preventable causes of mortality and morbidity, especially in states like Kerala and as well as Tamil Nadu. And we need to focus on this primary healthcare systems, and we have to focus on even non-communicable diseases as well. Okay, communicable disease, non-communicable diseases, because of climate change there is increased incidence of diseases. Either it may be communicable and non-communicable, and we have to focus on disease diagnosis. Primary healthcare centers, they can reduce the burden of high cost of tertiary care. And if you move from one area to another area, we are seeing there is a lot of inequalities. South is more developed compared to that of North. Yes or no? So we have to address this regional inequalities, and we have to focus on the various social detriments of health, and we have to reduce health vulnerability. So we have to provide even livelihood opportunities for the people, and we have to improve the working conditions, and we have to provide people with social safety nets, and we have to improve educational status of population and employability, and we have to reduce sensitivity and enhancing of ACs. Okay, so this is about this topic. And next topic is road fatalities rise in India despite global drop, says WHO. WHO is nothing but World Health Organization. So it is came up with the details of increasing of road fatalities. That means deaths because of accidents. So if you see context, it says that road traffic deaths fell by 5% to 1.9 million annually worldwide between 2010 to 2021. And about 108 United Nations member countries reporting a drop, but here WHO said that in India there is increasing of road accidents by 15%. So please let me know what are the reasons for this increasing of accidents on road. Okay, so what are the problems? Problems from the human side or from the government side? So please let me know, don't forget. And if you see the details, it says that the total number of road traffic fatalities in India, which is went up to 1.5 lakh in 2021. Actually, if you see in 2010, that is about 1.34, but in 2021 it increased by 30,000. So Global Status Report on Road Safety 2023 said that there is 15% of increasing of road fatalities in India. So countries they succeeded in reducing this road traffic deaths over by 50%. For example, these countries like Belarus, Brunei, Denmark, Japan, Louisiana, Norway, Russia, Trinidad, Tobago, UAE, Venezuela. So these countries they showed a lot of progress by reducing these deaths by 30 to 50%. So as of 2019, road crashes they were one of the leading cause of deaths among the children and even youth, okay, who are aged from 5 to 29 years. So where 12th leading cause of deaths when all ages are considered. That much it is impacting the society. So road accidents, and 2/3 of the deaths occur among the people who are of working age. So whenever the people of working age was dying, that will increase the burden on the government. That will be increase the burden on the exchequer of government. So if you're talking about the data which is given here, so day by day the vehicle growth is increasing. So rather than using of this public transport system, so people they are having their private vehicles and they are using these private vehicles for transportation. So this report noticed that during the same period the global motor vehicle fleet, that is increasing of vehicles by 160%. And annual fatality rates there per lakh vehicles fell from 79 deaths to 47 deaths. So the report which shows that 28% of global road traffic deaths occurred in WHO Southeast Asian region. Okay, in Southeast Asian region there is increasing of deaths, and 25% of deaths is increased in this Western Pacific region, and 19% in African region, and 12% in the region of Americas, and 11% of deaths in Eastern Mediterranean region, and just 5% in European region. So you can understand. So in the South Asian region, yes, there is high number of deaths compared to that of this European region. And this is about this topic, and these are the very important articles that appear in our today's Hindu newspaper. And if you want to get the class notes, you can join the Telegram channel. Okay, so this is the Telegram channel. Okay, so this is Telegram channel, that is Rathods IAS classes. So here we are posting the class notes every day, and you can download the notes here. And this is Rathods IAS Academy YouTube channel. So please do subscribe to this YouTube channel for sure. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this class. So if you really like this class, hit the like button and please do subscribe to Rathods IAS Academy and don't forget to share this class to your friends. So thank you so much for watching.